Hello and welcome to the EP official state-by-state prediction series, where I will be taking you through all of the latest data in each of the competitive states in the 2024 presidential election, providing you with my own analysis and predictions for how these races will turn out. We're starting in the Keystone State. Both in name and practice, Pennsylvania has been the ultimate battleground in both of the last two presidential election cycles. Its 19 electoral votes are the largest prize among the states considered to be truly competitive here in 2024. The birthplace of incumbent Democrat Joe Biden, it's a state that his campaign will absolutely need to hold if he is to win re-election this November, while the former president, Donald Trump, is eyeing a flip that would put him in prime position to secure at least 270 electoral votes this November. Let's take a look at the 2024 Electoral College battleground map here, with all of the states considered to be solid or likely to go to a candidate or leaning in their direction, colored in shades of red or blue. These are my current ratings for the 2024 race between Biden and Trump, based on the data driving my very own presidential forecast, which you can check out for yourself at electionpredictionsofficial.com. There is a link on this site to a spreadsheet with the up-to-date information from polls to forecast ratings to shifts and trends in past results, all the way over to demographic data. I have intentionally been very conservative with these ratings for this series, marking down the 7 states, including Pennsylvania, as toss-ups. Joe Biden holds a slight advantage over Trump with 226 electoral votes to the Republicans' 219. The 7 toss-up states combine for 93 absolutely pivotal electoral votes that will ultimately determine the winner of this election when all of the votes are counted on November 5th. Now, without further ado, let's take a look at the latest data that we can use to project the outcome in Pennsylvania, starting with the previous presidential election results. Dating back to the start of the 21st century, Democrats have won 5 of the last 6 presidential races. Though, if we were to go back even further to 1992, Democrats have won 9 of the last 10 presidential contests in Pennsylvania, as Pennsylvania was historically part of the Blue Wall, as an ancestrally Democratic state with a large number of blue-collar, white working-class voters that made up the backbone of the Democratic Party's electorate throughout the 1990s and into the 2000s. Pennsylvania has not backed a Republican candidate for president by double digits since 1972, when Richard Nixon won 49 states, and the last Republican president to win Pennsylvania twice was Ronald Reagan. Trump would, of course, become the most recent president to accomplish that feat with a win in 2024, as he did win Pennsylvania by a margin of about 0.7% in 2016 in his surprise sweep of the Rust Belt that marked the first Republican presidential victory in Pennsylvania since 1988. But 4 years later, Joe Biden flipped it back into the Democrats' column by about 1.2%. That being said, if we take a look at how the state has voted compared to the rest of the country, Pennsylvania actually voted further to the right than it did in 2016, considering that Biden won the national popular vote by 4.5 points, compared to Clinton's 2 points. 2020 is the second consecutive presidential election in which Pennsylvania voted to the right of the nation at large. Previously, it had not done so since 1948. And so, as a result, the Cook Partisan Voting Index and 538's Partisan Lean Scores have Pennsylvania at R+4 and R+3, respectively, which assesses how a state leans compared to the nation as a whole based on how it voted in the previous 2 presidential elections. And to further visualize this pro-Republican shift in Pennsylvania in recent years, let's take a look at how the state has trended over the last several election cycles. As we've already discussed, between the 2016 and 2020 elections, Pennsylvania shifted a half point to the right compared to the rest of the nation. But going back even further, it's shifted almost 5 points towards Republicans since 2012 and a full 7 points in favor of the GOP since the start of the 21st century in the 2000 election. I do want to clarify how these shifts were calculated. Consider that in the 2000 election, as an example, in that year, Pennsylvania voted for Al Gore by a margin of 4.2%. Nationally, though, Al Gore's margin over George Bush was 0.5%. This means that Pennsylvania was 3.7% more Democratic than the national average, D plus 3.7. In contrast, by 2020, Pennsylvania voted 3.3% more Republican than the national average, R plus 3.3. And so this change from D plus 3.7 in 2000 to R plus 3.3 in 2020 represents a total shift toward the Republicans of 7 percentage points. That all being said, recent statewide elections for U.S. Senate and governor have still been dominated by Democratic candidates. Since 2014, Democrats have won 5 of 6 such races, with 3 decided by at least 13 percentage points in their favor. Most recently, in the 2022 midterms, John Fetterman defeated Dr. Oz in a very tightly contested open Senate race, in which Oz had held a polling advantage heading into Election Day. And as a result, Democrats now control both U.S. Senate seats, while they have maintained the governorship, a majority of Pennsylvania's U.S. House congressional delegation, and the state's House of Representatives. As for polling data assessing the head-to-head contest between Biden and Trump right now in Pennsylvania, all 5 notable polling averages have Trump leading by around 1 to 3 percentage points. 538 and Decision Desk HQ/The Hill, the most reputable averages among these, have Trump leading by 1.9% and 1.7% respectively. Now, although these figures are favorable for Trump, his lead in Pennsylvania is one of his narrowest across the 7 key battleground states. Notably, Pennsylvania, along with Wisconsin, is one of only 2 true battleground states where Biden has led at least once in this cycle, a cycle that has otherwise been completely dominated by Trump thus far. And this narrow lead, combined with the belief among those paying close attention to electoral politics lately, or at least those with money on the line, that Biden will inevitably make up ground down the stretch, has led to betting markets actually favoring Biden across the board, albeit marginally. The incumbent Democrat is trading at 52 cents in Pennsylvania as of recording this video on Polymarket, and 55 cents on Smarkets, while he's given a 60% chance of winning the state according to Metaculous's users. It's one of the 3 battlegrounds, the others being Michigan and Wisconsin, where Biden is currently favored to win according to each of these markets. It does seem that there is a prevailing belief among traders that Biden's appeal is most strong in this Rust Belt region, at least compared to the Sun Belt, mirroring the polls, though to a greater extent. Industry experts, on the other hand, seem to be meeting polls and betting markets in the middle, with all but one prominent forecaster rating Pennsylvania as a toss-up. Sabato's Crystal Ball released their initial 2024 ratings with Pennsylvania as leaning towards Democrats, and they have not changed this rating. Meanwhile, the Cook Political Report, Split Ticket, Elections Daily, Inside Elections, and CN Analysis say that it is too close to call in Pennsylvania right now, with neither candidate holding a discernible advantage at this point in time. Finally, let's take a look at the demographic data in Pennsylvania. If you were to hand me these numbers alone and forced me to guess the state's partisan lean without knowing the state, I would say that it has the look of a highly competitive state with a slight Democratic lean. That's because while Pennsylvania is among the top 20 whitest states in the nation, which generally favor Republicans, it also ranks in the top 20 in the proportion of residents with a college degree, which heavily favors Democrats. For reference, in 2020, Trump either won or came within single digits of Biden in 19 of the 20 whitest states in the country, while Biden carried 18 of the 20 highest-ranking states in educational attainment. In terms of religion, 63% of Pennsylvanians identify as religiously affiliated, which ranks right around the middle of the pack, 33rd among all U.S. states. Religious voters do tend to lean more Republican, so if anything, this data point actually favors Democrats. That being said, Pennsylvania is the 8th oldest state in terms of median age. Older voters tend to lean more conservative. Finally, Pennsylvania is the 8th most urban state according to 538's Urbanization Index and ranks 21st in median household income. In the 2020 election, Joe Biden won 16 of the 20 most urban states and 18 of the 20 highest earning states, with the only exceptions being the competitive states of Florida, Texas, and Ohio, as well as surprisingly Utah in both categories. In the interest of full transparency, I will leave a link to another spreadsheet that I have created that you see on your screen right here. It displays all of the data that I just talked about, so feel free to head over there and check it out for yourself now or after the video ends. Now, in our final slide, before we get into the prediction section, let's take a quick look at the county level results from the 2020 presidential election. Joe Biden, again, carried Pennsylvania by 1.2% with a raw vote lead of about 80,500 votes. While Trump did manage to again turn out his base in Pennsylvania's more rural and Republican-dominated western counties, a major key to Biden's success in the state was his improvement on Hillary Clinton's margins in the large Philadelphia area's suburban counties. He won Bucks by 3.6% more than Clinton did, Delaware by 4.4% more, Montgomery by 4.8% more, and Chester, which Mitt Romney had actually narrowly won just 8 years prior, by 6.6% more than Clinton. Now, these counties, along with Philadelphia itself, house about a third of Pennsylvania's entire population. At the same time, though, Biden also managed to reclaim 2 of the 3 large industrial counties, which had voted Democratic for at least 6 consecutive elections before Trump flipped them in 2016. Erie up here in the Northwest, and Northampton. That being said, Biden's vote share in the city of Philadelphia, or Philadelphia County at large, actually declined slightly compared to Hillary Clinton's, a trend that then continued into 2022, where John Fetterman garnered roughly the same vote share as Clinton did, even though he outperformed her by about 6 points across the rest of the state. Alrighty, it's time now for the prediction section of this video. It's now November 5th, 2024, and the polls are about to close in Pennsylvania at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Precincts are about to close in 16 states and the District of Columbia. It's the biggest round of poll closings tonight. A whopping 172 electoral votes are at stake, almost a third of the total number up for grabs here in the next hour, including the absolutely pivotal battleground of Pennsylvania. We've got a key race alert coming in right now. Too early to call in Pennsylvania, no surprise, the Keystone State is one we are going to be keeping a close eye on as the results come in tonight. One of the closest states in the last 2 presidential election cycles, it is a key battleground tonight. As we take a look at the first votes in here, very early, just 1% of the estimated vote is reporting right now, and Biden holds a very, very early advantage, 75.2% to 19.6%. Again, this is as expected. Democratic candidates always jump out to an initial advantage thanks to the initial vote drops from Democratic-friendly urban areas before the more Republican-friendly Election Day votes from the rural areas are expected to come in and flip this lead to Trump over the coming hours. The question again, as was the case in 2020, will the outstanding votes from the heavy mail-in and absentee and slow-counting Democratic regions, most notably Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, Allegheny County, be enough to then flip this race in favor of Biden down the road? We'll have to wait and see. We've got a key race alert out of Pennsylvania now. Joe Biden maintains his early advantage with 17% of the estimated vote reporting, 62.6% to 31.9%. It's a 348,000 vote lead for the incumbent president over the former president, Donald Trump. Right now, 19 electoral votes are at stake in Pennsylvania, a key battleground to watch tonight. Take a look at this, our first peek at the county level returns and outlook in Pennsylvania, where Joe Biden's early lead has narrowed significantly here as expected with 26% reporting. It's a raw vote margin of 111,000 votes, separating the Democrat from the Republican right now, 50.7% to 44.3%. We've got votes from almost every county in the states, but keep in mind that these initial margins are not necessarily indicative of the final result, as the election day vote is coming in much faster than the early and absentee votes. We've still got a long way to go before we can make any definitive forecasts for the outcome in Pennsylvania, though there are reports coming in from the Trump HQ that they believe the former Republican president is hitting internal targets in key counties so far. Key race alert out of Pennsylvania, where Donald Trump has taken an 100,000 vote lead over Biden, as expected the incumbent. Biden's early lead has evaporated as we now have almost half of the vote in from across the state. It's 49% to 45.8%, with 48% of the estimated vote in. 19 electoral votes are on the line in Pennsylvania. More than 3 million votes have been counted, 49% Trump, 45.8% Biden right now. Another look out of Pennsylvania, 63% of the estimated vote is reporting now. Out of Pennsylvania, we're seeing a strong Trump vote share continuing right now, as just in 2020, we are seeing the election day vote coming in much more favorably for the Republican. It's 51.9% to 42.7% in favor of Trump, with 387,000 votes separating the two candidates in the Keystone State. Again, 63% of the estimated vote is in, and we have votes reporting from every county in the state now. Though keep in mind that much of the outstanding vote, the absentee and late arriving mail-in ballots, are expected to lean Biden's way, just as in 2020 when we saw Trump leading by a similar margin to what he has built in right now, before the Democrat closed that gap and ultimately prevailed. It's a matter of whether Trump has built a large enough firewall here in the key counties with the election day vote. Our sources from the RNC say that they are confident in the former president's chances based on these numbers. We have not yet heard from the Biden headquarters. It's shaping up to be another very close race here in Pennsylvania now. We'll be back with more results after the break. We've got another update out of Pennsylvania. 3/4 of the estimated vote is in now, and Trump's vote lead has increased to just over 400,000 votes now, as more than 5 million votes have been cast across the state. Though his margin of lead over Biden has narrowed down to less than 8 percentage points now, 51.3% to 43.5%. We do expect this race only to narrow even more from here on out, as the outstanding vote is expected to lean towards Biden. Again, the question is whether there are enough Biden votes, not yet counted, to make up this deficit, as it appears we are unlikely to hit 2020 turnout levels here in Pennsylvania. Key race alert in Pennsylvania as the margin between Biden and Trump has narrowed again. The former president holds exactly 50% of the vote share right now. As we take a look here at the county map, the sitting president holds 44.8%. 88% of the estimated vote is in, almost 90% of the vote is reporting now. Trump has received 2,938,000 votes to Biden's 2,632,000. That is a gap of around 300,000 votes right now, down about 100,000 from our last update. The red mirage here in Pennsylvania is certainly fading, but will it be enough? We've got 94% reporting in Pennsylvania now. Trump continues to lead Biden, now by just 119,000 votes. It's 48.4% to 46.3% in favor of the former president, with more than 6 million votes now counted. 19 electoral votes at stake in Pennsylvania. It's a state that both sides feel they must win tonight. Here we go. EP official projects that Donald Trump has won the state of Pennsylvania, carrying its 19 electoral votes. Donald Trump is the winner in Pennsylvania. It's a huge pickup for his campaign, one that may deal a final blow to Biden's re-election chances. The former Republican president seeking a non-consecutive second term in the White House, EP projects, is the winner in Pennsylvania, defeating the incumbent Joe Biden. As we take a look here at the final results, Trump leads Biden by 26,817 votes, with 47.6% to 47.2%. It's a margin of just 0.4%, lower than Trump's 2016 margin over Clinton, though that won't matter here, as the Trump campaign would have been happy to secure Pennsylvania's 19 electoral votes by any margin after Biden flipped the state back into his column in 2020. Now that is all for this first video in the state-by-state series. You can feel free to comment your thoughts and feelings in the comment section below. I appreciate comments whether they're positive or negative. Also make sure to let me know down there what other 2024 related videos you would like to see in the future. Shout out to my channel members on screen here. Thank you so much for your support. If you would like to become a member, go ahead and click the join button below this video to receive exclusive perks. Make sure to subscribe to my channel down below as well, and please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. You can check out more content from my channel here, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. EP out.